everything else versus Bitcoin essentially gets spent and dies.
I want to be able to have reactive security, and I think OpVault is today the most straightforward, easiest to use way to do that.
I will not be insulted by a clockmaker.
Overall, these kind of ways to make the network easier to both build on and interact with, I think is a really big deal.
If Bitcoin existed when we started Twitter, we would not have to go down the ad model path. I mean, it's simple as that.
Integrating Lightning into a social network is the killer app.
Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by Pod 2.0, Sat Streaming, and Coinkite. If you're a new listener, I'm NVK. I run Coinkite, where we've been helping people secure their Bitcoins for over a decade. We make the cold card and fun products like the block clock. You can find more information about it on coinkite.com. There is no patch for stupid. Mr. Kevin Mitnick. Rest in peace, one of the real ones. Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin.review list episode. We got a very packed list today and a bunch of semi-injured old people trying to go through it. So, hello guys. Hi, Craig.
Hello. Good to be back.
Nice to have you, sir. Hello, Rijndael.
Hey, great to see you, gentlemen, and also you, NVK.
And Mr. Jameson, his first time doing a list episode, or as we call it, the torture just before bed.
Yeah, go easy on me, guys.
I hope you peed already, because this is going to take a long time.
I actually did think too, so I got that going for me.
Smart. All right, guys, so a little housekeeping before we started the software updates. Opensats, long-term support program for Bitcoin Core developers, is out. There is an article on it, and we already have a few grants out. I can't remember the names of who we granted the long-term yet. Marco Faulkner, right?
Falca, yep.
And who else?
I think we sent the email to Josie.
Okay.
Josie Bake.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think he's getting funded for, well, a bunch of stuff, but especially the silent payments work.
That's awesome.
So if you're out there, you want to work full-time on Core and don't want to take money from some evil corporation, Opensats got your back. And you also don't have to deal with Steve either. Love you, Steve. Sparrow, nobody wants Sparrow grants. You want Opensats grants. I'm going to start a nice little rivalry. And the first wave of Bitcoin grants also went. Pay join dev kit. Bolt 12 for LND, splicing, REST-Blitz, label base, BTC Pay Server, Zero Sync, Mutiny Wallet, NextOff, Lightning provider Cashu, LN Proxy, Blixt Wallet, and a bunch of other stuff. There was also a bunch of Nostr ones that maybe I'll bring up on the Nostr list episode. Check out the show notes. There is a list to all the announcements. And apply.
I really hope that OpenSat starts just having all-out beef with Spiral, and you guys compete with Spiral to see how many devs you can fund. That'd be the best rivalry.
Well, I mean, it's like we have the rivalry between the wallets, the hardware wallets, the privacy stuff. You need a little drama to make it spicy, right?
I think they're going to crush us, to be honest. I think we're too lethargic and disorganized to put up a real fight there. They have designers and branding people.
Well, that was true before Gigi. I mean, Gigi is a fucking machine, and Gigi's gonna make it happen.
Yep. So it's pretty much Gigi versus Spiral.
That's right.
We can cheerlead.
That's right. I don't think they stand a chance. Just saying, just putting out there.
Really stoking the beef.
That's right.
I'm here for it.
Fight. I love this. This is so good. Anyways.
I really do feel like an old person today because I don't think I recognize half of the projects that got Bitcoin grants, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. The space is ginormous. Next on the housekeeping Coinkite stuff, the Q1 reservations are moving. So get your reservation soon because we might close reservations. We pre-sold too much. The progress of the plastic is almost done. We're just doing a few more revs. There was a sneak peek of the software. It is amber orange. So people of our vintage will understand that. What else? The Mark IV, there's new colors, new black, gold, and red for reservation. Oh, the shipping, thanks for your patience, people. It's almost catched up. I hope that by next week we're back to normal shipping times. And there is blank cards now for Tap Signer.
Yeah, I saw that there's Tap Signer and Sats card. You can do blank now, which is super cool.
Yes, both of them blanks because people want to print their own stuff on the front or put stickers. So we wanted to facilitate the customization.
Have you guys done any experimenting with like inkjet versus laser printers? Like, have people started trying to, like...
So I'm a bit of a stickler for like quality art mediums. So we do this in large format printers. Like it's like a whole sheet of plastic that goes in. That's why it looks so nice. It really is dye sublimation that they use for the card machines that you do one by one. They don't look quite as great, so I'm still sourcing a industrial grade one so that I could do custom. So people would upload their art into it. It'll probably just be all fuck the Fed kind of thing, anyways. So
Sure. Well, I mean, like I saw there was an Ordinals project that was doing like collectible, I think tap signers or maybe they weren't tap signers, sat strips for like their NFT run. And so I wonder if, maybe.
Yeah, they printed the stickers and I think they covered the front, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, that's cool. All right, boys, we're going to start this. The Bitcoin software release and project updates. Let's have Sparrow Man do Sparrow software update.
Okay, so Sparrow 1.7.8 was released this week. I guess the sort of headline feature is Taproot message signing. So if you know anything about message signing, you know that it's a bit of a messy spec situation where we basically had a decent spec for the old legacy addresses, the pay to public key hash, and then along came nested SegWit and native SegWit, and some people then tried to adapt the original message signing for that. And of course, we then had more than one spec for that. Trezor kind of went their own way. Electrum did a different way. They're all kind of similar, but not quite the same. And then, of course, with Taproot, we got Schnorr. And Schnorr means that we kind of really have to rethink it because the standard that message signing was built on was really built on the old way of doing things. So really what we have now is this new standard called BIP39 and that kind of is the standard to end all standards when it comes to message signing, because all it really is actually creating a transaction and then signing that in a sort of a clever way. So this release of Sparrow contains support for that just in terms of single sig, native SegWit, and Taproot. So you can now, the effective real changes, you can now create a signature for any message with a Taproot address. So yeah, so that's in. The next is sort of QR code reading. I've in the last few weeks I've spent more time than I ever really wanted to understanding what makes QR codes easier or more difficult to read, depending on whether they are blurry or whether there is glare or whether there's too much brightness. These are all things that can make QR codes more difficult to read. The long and the short of it is that the library that Sparrow was using wasn't doing too well on those particular situations, and we've now got a new library in there which is doing a lot better. So if you've struggled to read QR codes in the past, it's likely that things have been dramatically improved now.
Hey, Craig, quick back there on BIP322. I remember we integrated this about a year ago or something on CodeCard. Is there anybody else supporting BIP322?
Not as far as I know. I don't think it's got a support yet. I haven't really done a decent look. So I can't say for sure, but I'm not aware of any other wallets that support it, but there might be.
Why did you add BIP39 support? Like, was that consumer requests or?
Yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure what they use it for, but I think the ordinals folk use it. Rijndael, you clearly know something about this, probably more than me.
Yeah. So in that ecosystem, there's a bunch of applications where you want to be able to prove possession of something, right? So let's say that you have a inscription that denotes like membership in some club or something, and you want to have a website that gates access to like a members only page to people who are holders of your inscription collection, then you need to be able to produce a proof that you are in possession of this thing. And so what you want to be able to do is like sign a challenge with the key pair that's holding a particular inscription. That's like the application.
Are you guys using the proof of reserves BIP as well? Because that was kind of like my interest on this was the 322 plus proof of reserves. That's how we got there. There were a lot of requests for those pre-ordinals.
Well, or another application area is like people, I forgot the name of the company is, but there's a company that does almost like a proof of reserves for consumers who need to be able to like prove that they own assets. Like you're going to get a mortgage on your house and you need to like prove that you have however much dollars in Bitcoin. You don't want to like reveal your UTXO. So you provide like almost like a proof of reserve to this company. And then they write a letter that says, hey, like we've looked and, you know, James has this much money. So like those kinds of application areas are really interesting. I had a bunch of questions about your 322 implementation. It looks like it's single sig only. Is that the case right now? Or are you guys planning on eventually supporting all the things? Because like one of the things that's cool about 322 is it's really proof that you can satisfy a script. So in theory, it could work for like multi-sig or for hash locks or an op vault kind of construction, like anything that you can encumber Bitcoin with, you could theoretically do a BIP322 signature for.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you're quite right. It is just single sig now. I think the major, kind of hurdle for me in terms of making it multi-sig would have just entailed quite a large redesign of the UI, and I just didn't really want to go all the way out to there at this point. So I kind of just wanted to do the single sig first, see what the uptake was, see what the interest was, and then kind of move on from there. But yeah, it's just single sig at this point. And I must add, the actual BIP322 spec, I mean, I think one of the reasons it hasn't seen as much uptake, because it's been around for quite a long time, is that it is a particularly, in my experience, difficult to grok. It's just, the way it's written, it feels like the sort of concepts in there should be easier to understand. By the time you get to the end of it and you actually understand what it's saying, you kind of think to yourself, well, the first time I read this, it really didn't appear the way it appears now. So I just thought I'd mention that.
The other thing that's really difficult about it, like I have a half-written Rust implementation, and the signing side is actually kind of straightforward because you construct two transactions and then you sign them, right? You sign one of them with your keys and then the other one with like the other keys. The side that ends up being the tar pit is on verification, because in order to like really verify the signatures, you have to make sure that that these two transactions are consensus valid. So you either need to like use core or you need to like implement all of the transaction consensus rules, which is, like you're like, oh, I'll hack this together in an afternoon. And then, weeks later you wake up in a fog and you're like, how the hell does Bitcoin work?
NVK, do you have a storm rolling in?
Oh boy, there is a thunderstorm and a possible tornado warning. So, and I'm on Starlink. So there's a small chance that either I get hit by lightning or just like the ionization just kills Starlink. But we're going to keep on plowing through.
Exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a look at the whole thing of trying to implement the consensus engine, and I kind of started off down that road, and then kind of realized, much like you've just said, this is a long and dark tunnel that I won't see the end of for quite a while if I keep on going. So the lucky thing is, if you just keep it very simple, single seg, you really just limit the amount that you're trying to verify, then it obviously becomes much easier. And Sparrow will give you warnings if you try and throw in a multi-sig verification signature, I should say. You try and do that, it will at least say to you, hey, I don't support this, but that is certainly something that multi-sig, everything that the wallet supports, it should eventually support. It's just a matter of time.
That's awesome.
It's so funny because this is one of those BIPs that also kind of semi-forgotten. And I kind of wish it was widely supported. It's, at least on the hardware wallet side, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, signing is really straightforward. It's the verification part that's hard. And there's a PR against Bitcoin Core that you can run, and it does 322. Ben Carmen had a PR that I think he closed against one of the Scala Bitcoin projects. I think it was Bitcoin S. There's a bunch of half done PRs and implementations around the ecosystem. So when I saw this pop up for Sparrow, it's amazing because as far as I know, it's the first kind of mainstream Bitcoin wallet that actually supports it. So really, really exciting feature.
Craig, remember on the last episode that we were together, we were chatting about possibly validating or verifying detached signatures? You have all the parts you have now, sir. You can double check the validity of those detached signatures that come on the microSD card from the code card.
That is true. I should have a better look at it.
Are the detached signatures, are those using BIP39 signatures?
I think so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that should make it very nice for you to double check addresses against the wallet as well, because you could export an address list and then have Sparrow verify that against itself because it's a signed list. I'd be curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I will definitely have it sounds interesting. I will give it a try. I actually made use of those PRs that you mentioned. It was quite helpful having a few PRs out there, but there's kind of limited test vectors. You don't get test vectors for nested SegWit. I don't know why, but I just couldn't find any, so decided not to build that in at this time. Also just thought, what are the chances people are going to actually want that? But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it feels like it just needs a little bit more effort across a broad range of people to get it over the line.
Yeah, in classic core fashion, the BIP39 basic support PR isn't even merged yet. It's been open for a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, but James, nobody should be really using Bitcoin Core as their everyday wallet, in my honest opinion.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, Core is always just going to be super ultra behind with the wallet, right? Which makes complete sense, right? Because very few people use it as their everyday wallet. I just wish that wallet client and wallet signer maintainers would spend more time in implementing useful older BIPs that are less shiny than the new shit. It's that's my ask. It's just can we just sort of go through the BIPs and try to get them going? Because there's a lot of good shit that doesn't get implemented that is super useful.
Well, if it's good, then eventually people will ask for it.
Yeah, I don't think people know.
Hopefully, anyway.
Most of the time, people just don't even know that it exists or that it's useful or how to use it. That always reminds me of PSBTs. Completely forgotten for years. All right. Sorry, Craig, you were doing your laundry list here. Next is, I guess, add rename wallet command to file menu.
Yeah, you can rename your wallet now. Also did quite a bit of work on RBF. It's just been kind of one of those things that I've been trying to improve over a few releases now. There was a bug which led to over-selection of UTXOs in the last release. That's now been fixed. And the proposed fee for an RBF transaction is now set to the minimum required for Relay, which was something I had to look up in Core to find out what it was. It turns out that you have to increase the fee by the basically the virtual size. So basically sending it out at 1 sat per byte in order to prevent people from just bumping up the fee by 1 sat and then creating a sort of a DOS attack there. So that's in there. So you can basically now just click the RBF button and you can sign your transaction and send without having to adjust anything at all, and it will go out, which I think is nice.
Nice.
In terms of other stuff, it's a lot of small things. I improved sort of keeping memory use low on some of the larger data sets that Sparrow keeps, particularly to kind of get a histogram going. And what else is there? Not too much that is worth talking about, I think. Yeah, but it's a good release, I think, and I think this one should be out for a while, so it's worth getting it.
Craig, have you looked into maybe adding Sparrow to Tails? That'll be because that's like Electrum is on Tails.
Cool.
I have. It turns out that you have to first get it added to the Debian repo. That is not an easy thing to do. It requires you to get sponsored by a Debian maintainer for a start. Then you have to compile the package into their specific source packaging. It is already packaged into the kind of standard Debian release packaging, but it has to be in a different format. And then you have to go through some kind of bureaucratic process to get it put in. It really helps, I think, if you have a Debian maintainer who kind of wants to do it. And I have a feeling this is how Electrum got in there. But that actually kind of backfired on them for some reasons that I don't fully understand. There was something that didn't go quite right somewhere through that process. So I don't think the Debian maintainers are super keen on Bitcoin wallets. That's not to say that there isn't someone out there who is keen, but I do think that possibly they've been a little bit burnt. And now, of course, I'm trying to do the same thing. So it's just one of those things where I could focus on it and I could put a lot of time in, or I could work on adding more things to Sparrow. And it's kind of, which one do you do?
You know, have you thought about maybe putting a bounty on somebody doing this work for you? Because it's like a single sort of thing.
It's not a bad idea.
Also, I mean, like, you know my position on this. Linux is a shitcoin. I love you, Linux people, but Linux is a shitcoin. The 1 OS is FreeBSD. Yeah, of course. And but like, listen, we have a lot of like Linux wizards that listen to the show. If you are a Linux wizard shitcoiner who wants to do this work, it would be much appreciated. I think it would be a huge gain security-wise because a lot of people do use Tails for Bitcoin operations. I don't know. I think it's a win-win.
You know, I just looked and I don't see Sparrow in the FreeBSD ports collection. So, like, what's going on there?
Absolutely.
And then there is also Nix, right? The Nix project. Maybe they are interested in adding. Maybe they'll help you with some appeal to authority there. You can paste a link to, hey, look, Nix project has Sparrow.
You know, actually, the really big brain thing would be to have Tails, but built on Nix instead of Debian. That would be super cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a great project for somebody who's seeking Opensats grants, you know, for them to go work on integrate. Like, imagine if there was a person working full time. I'm not saying Opensats is going to approve it. This is just my personal opinion. But like, imagine if there was a full-time person who all that they do is the grunt work, really hard work of getting Bitcoin wallets like integrated deep into all the open source OSs, right? Can you imagine NetBSD with a Bitcoin wallet? Man, like,
yeah,
that's
you
it.
Can
like
run on a toaster. I mean,
that's right. You can run it on a toaster.
On a toaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultra secure.
There's a lot of incoming friction, I think, between certain ecosystems, you know, and Bitcoin software. Like, I don't know if you guys saw last night. One of the major Rust package managers,
libs.rs.
The crusty people,
basically marked. They marked the Bitcoin crate deprecated.
Wow.
Knowing that there had been an update, within the last few weeks, and they put some message, on there about, how they don't like cryptocurrencies. And there's a big entertaining Reddit thread where, Blue Matt's arguing.
I've been advocating hard for the Rust normal people to fork Rust into Crust. Call it Crust. And then they can call it the packages Crusties. It's just it'll be absolutely beautiful. And they own that the foundation of Rust owns the trademark. Is a disaster. These people have nothing a fuss in them. What are you gonna do? Commies everywhere.
So I think we're most of the way through the first item on the list.
Item 1 of 112.
All right,
Good time.
Craig. Any other updates before your food episode?
No, I think we can crack on. I just want to say there is an open Nix issue to add Sparrow, so somebody at least has considered it. Maybe it'll happen.
Well, Nix is a Bitcoin project, so there's a high chance that it gets added.
Yeah.
All right, so next on the list, so that we can get to the second basis point of the list, Mercury Wallet version 0.9.0. Alpha release, a fully self-custodial Lightning network wallet, functionally built on LNDg, coin exclusion list, available in settings. You guys feel free to jump in. I'm gonna just keep on plowing.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I haven't used their Lightning implementation. I'm really curious how it interacts with the state chains. Like that's Mercury's whole shtick. Is it's this other L2. It's like state chains. So I'm assuming that you can, create a state coin out of your Lightning balance, or like burn a state coin and go to Lightning. But I'm really curious what that integration looks like, and whether it's sort of an atomic swap or like what that actually looks like. So that'll be cool to check out.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have absolutely no idea. State chain's cool. Drive chain's bad. I'm a simple man. All right, fully noted Bitcoin Core iOS release, a simplified version of fully noted that works with on-chain Bitcoin Core only. A little note, fully noted guys are working on caching your UTXOs so it works well offline. All wallets should do that. Cache the UTXOs, because I've been on an airplane before within the landing zone where they turn off the Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. I was trying to load a Sats card to gift to the person beside me, and I couldn't get a transaction going, so I lied to them. I saved the address, I gave it to them, I said, there's Bitcoin here. And then as I landed, I constructed that transaction.
Bank of NBK.
That's right.
I wonder how this works, because my understanding of how fully noted works, so it's cool. It's a mobile wallet that uses your Bitcoin Core full node to do transaction construction, and it basically just uses your phone as like a signer. So it actually talks over like the RPC interface to Bitcoin Core.
That's right.
And so I thought that it used like a watch-only wallet in your Bitcoin Core wallet to do all the transaction construction. Is that not the case anymore?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't imagine how it can't be doing it that way. That is basically, it's very difficult for them on a phone to do it any other way. I would suspect they do, but I don't really know.
Cool. Well, cool release.
What's his name again? Fontaine, sir. If you could clarify that to us, that would be great. MyCitadel version 1.4, improved fonts and colors for transaction lists, context menus for transaction and addresses, and a bunch of other cool shit. Do you guys use MyCitadel? I'm trying to remember like a bit more about this project. Somebody mentioned something that was really neat, but as usual, I completely forgot.
It's it's like a mobile RGB wallet. It's like the wallet that Maxim Orlovsky has been working on to do RGB stuff. So, tokens and whatever else. I think this is like the desktop version.
There was something they were doing that was cool. What was it? Oh, anyways, if it comes to me, I'll bring it up. Nunchuk iOS version 1.9.28, Android 1.9.33. Make tap signer and software keys compatible with BIP39. Nice.
That is huge in my view. I think it's. I'm a massive fan of standards and wallets sticking to standards, so we can obsolete your walletsrecovery.org.
Yes.
That would be.
I don't want to maintain that site. I don't want to maintain that site.
One of my goals in life is to see that site destroyed.
Please.
But it's really, really good to see a wallet like Nunchuk go and follow the standard. So what they were doing before was kind of following a how can I say it? It's a modified version of BIP38, where they sort of used the BIP44 kind of 3 levels instead of the 4 levels that BIP38, but still using the 48. So it was kind of just something in the middle. And they've decided to, I'm sure at some cost, because it's not easy to do this kind of change, and they've decided to really make it compatible with BIP48, which means that all wallets will be able to see each other's funds, which is really great. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Hugo for making that change.
You know what's funny? I am responsible for them edit derivation path, because I wanted to edit the accounts on imports to recover some stuff. And so at least it's buried. Is it BIP48 or BIP44 that doesn't exist? I can't remember now. One of them don't exist.
BIP48 and BIP44 both exist. Actually, it was Fontaine, speaker of the devil, who actually brought BIP48 into existence. Without, it was being used for a long time in sort of an unofficial means, and
that's right.
He took the baton up and actually got it made as a BIP, which was huge, because now at least we can all follow the same standard, even if it's not the most beautiful standard in the world. We can at least find each other's funds.
Well, but the history, or is it BIP84? So one of them don't exist or didn't exist. I can't remember now. But the history was that people were just, using the BIPs as the derivation path number. That's the thing. And then for, was it SegWit? Or no, just pre-SegWit. One of these BIPs that I can't remember now the number, like it became a BIP. People would refer to it because it's the derivation path for that script type, but it doesn't exist as a BIP. So like you'd search wallets like docs, and then you go search the BIPs, and then it doesn't exist, but people are using it. It was very confusing. Anyways, part of Bitcoin growing pains history.
So to go back to fully noted real quick, I just took a look at the code, and they're calling out to wallet create funded PSBT. So I don't see any, transaction assembly logic in here in the code.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, like it just uses the phone software's assigner, and then it uses your node to do all the transaction creation and get your UTXOs and all
that. It's a one-man show wallet. He did it because he didn't want to use any other nodes except for his node. That's why it's called fully noded.
It's pretty cool.
All right. No, wait. We haven't even finished Nunchuk. Add the ability to export transactions in raw hacks in ready-to-broadcast state.
Love it.
Allow mobile trigger, adding code card Trezor Ledger via USB on desktop. Nice. As much as I am a air-gap maximalist, I do like to use code card on USB for wallets that are multi-sig and low amounts. It's very handy. I also like to use code card as the initializer for FreeBSD machines. So the password comes from a code card.
What was that, MVK? You said you like to use code card to initialize what?
Yeah, so you can use code card as the password to decrypt the virtual disk on FreeBSD. You can talk directly via USB.
Oh, that's
so when
cool.
you initialize the server, you're using a code card as essentially the keypad for the server.
Very cool. When are you going to do a Lux version of that?
Well, it's just using keyboard emulation, so it should work through Lux.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Anything more than that becomes silly.
Because like I think it's like you can do BIP85 on the cold card, and then it does keyboard emulation, so it'll like type in the seed that you generate, and so you can use it as a like an HD password generator.
Very cool.
We also now support password generation using BIP85, so that for the websites and things that don't allow you to put 12 words because they want symbols and crap, we do generate those. And we expanded. Oh yeah, that got merged. The BIP85 got extended to support passwords. Andre merged that.
That's awesome.
It was his BIP extension. BlueWallet version 6.4.6 supports scanning seed QR backup. New language Blixt Wallet. New feature speed loader. And a bunch of other things.
What is Blixt Wallet?
I don't know. I think we're covering later. I think there is a...
Yeah, I think this is... I think the indentation got fucked up. I think...
yes, it did.
Like speed loader and all these other things are updates to Blixt Wallet.
To Blixt Wallet, that's right. It's our bullet pointing. Do you guys know much about Blixt Wallet?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's a mobile Lightning wallet. It was one of the first ones that runs like a full LND node on your phone. It's like backed by Neutrino. So it's, instead of like talking to a remote node or something like that, like you actually run LND on your phone and open your own channels. It has like an autopilot feature, so it'll automatically open channels to large, high capacity, centrally located nodes for you. But you can also open nodes kind of on demand, and they've been adding a lot of really cutting edge features lately. So I think this release has a bunch of them. There's
cool.
This speed loader thing. I don't know what the implementation is there, but it looks kind of like there's a LDK feature called Rapid Gossip Sync. And the idea is that when you start up a mobile Lightning node, it has to sync the channel graph, and that can introduce a bunch of additional latency before you can like send or receive a payment. And so Rapid Gossip Sync basically lets some other node that's quasi-trusted generate the channel graph for you, and then you basically get like a diff of it. I think somebody's going to yell at me on Twitter because I got that wrong, but this looks like something like that.
People will always scream at us on Twitter, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, if anybody's still awake at this point in the episode, like somebody will correct me. And then the other stuff that they added,
in 5 items.
Yeah,
5 out of 327.
5 out of 300. And then the other cool stuff in here, I think, is they added basic support for HODL invoices, which end up getting used in places like Robosats. So if you want to buy some no KYC Bitcoin over Lightning, then they use HODL invoices to basically do like Lightning escrows. So kind of a cool feature if you're into that kind of thing.
All right, BDK version 1.0.0 Alpha 1. We're almost there on the 0.10 version. So close. Those guys are fucking killing it, eh? Steve Meyer is really... we're going to get to the news for them, too. So introduces a new chain oracle struct for more efficient chain syncing. A new STD default, new standard default feature was added for BDK chain, BDK Explorer crates. When disabled, these crates can be used as non-standard. Added a single conversion tool for going kiloweight unit, custom SPK iterator, and Taproot descriptor template, BIP86. So, this is super cool news for them. They announced that they are now a foundation. So they essentially like the equivalent of incorporated themselves as a non-profit kind of thing, so that they can take donations and from different sources and better distribute them more efficiently. It's really cool. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, the no standard default feature is a huge deal because you need that for running in more constrained environments. So more BDK in more places is going to be great.
NVK, do you ever foresee the cold card firmware moving to like a Rust BDK
Absolutely
type thing,
not.
or
Nope.
never? Okay.
No. So, I'll explain why. It's not like just sort of like being a dick about it. So, embedded, it's not like what the software people think it is. Like you can't escape C and assembly. Period. You just can't. And because we're talking to bare metal, right? And we have multiple chips. They have different requirements, and like it just
isn't that MicroPython though?
Right yeah, we do use but MicroPython. What's cool about Python is that Python supports C blocks. Right? You can put C right in Python. So I don't know. It just makes more sense.
Rust has really nice FFI to C. So like a pretty common thing in Rust for microcontrollers these days is you can have either a little bit of like unsafe Rust that is, punching things in and out of registers or talking directly to hardware, or you have like a little teeny tiny C blob and then you generate FFI bindings for it, and it still all compiles down to assembly.
Yeah, it's
super cool.
There is like a plethora of issues, right? I mean, like the embedded industry is C assembly, and the Python is just really it just happens to be widely used as a script language on top of the stack.
No pressure for me, man. I love Python. I love writing.
Yeah,
Python.
no, I know. It's just it got me thinking. It's unlikely. We're a Python shop, but aside from that, I really think that like it's too early for like. Plus, like all the old guys who are doing a lot of the embedded stuff are all C and Python guys too. It's a weird industry.
Yeah, it's also like a lot of times it's not just the actual firmware; it's all the tooling. Right, you have like emulators and debuggers and build tooling and profiling and like all that shit. Like you got to figure out.
Dude, there is micros that you can only get the tooling in Windows. Not in our case, but if we wanted to use the vendor libraries, which we don't, it would be Windows only. So it's just a whole other universe. It's like embedded does not enjoy. We're lucky. We don't get to use the shiny new thing. We're always about 20, 30 years behind of whatever is the current tech, which is kind of super sane and fantastic. All right. Keeper version 1.0.7 now perform Whirlpool over Tor using in-app feature or the Orbot app. Major improvements in the way it connects to nodes and other cool things. BTC Pay Server version 1.10.3. Pool payment support LNDg withdrawal with Sats denomination. I imagine this is for subscriptions. Parmanode update. Now installs on-demand Electrum or Sparrow and connects them automatically on demand to your node. Nice.
That's cool.
RGB Core version 0.10.5. Johnny's notes are worth reading on this. I'm always confused by this project, NVK. Don't understand it at all. But hopefully the release notes make sense to you. Johnny, you're correct. Nobody understands RGB. It's not just you.
RGB seems like the Urbit of Bitcoin.
That's
like
right.
if there was an Urbit inside of Bitcoin.
That's incredible. Yeah, this looks like it's mostly refactoring and like bumping dependencies. The big update for RGB was O.10. It broke compatibility with O.9, which I think everybody who's actually doing anything with RGB is still on O.9 version of the protocol. And I think they've promised that they're going to have forward compatibility from now on. So this is kind of a minor update, but cool that they're getting some amount of API stability. Knock on wood.
I mean, you mean everybody doing RGB? You mean like a couple people?
There's cousins of us, right? Yeah, exactly.
But props to Giacomo for still like pushing that around, and I don't know who else is working on it these days.
Yeah, Maxim Orlovsky's like the guy who's doing, I don't know, 90% of a lot of the development. Not all of it. Like there's other contributors, but he's on all the releases and most of the commits.
Okay. StartOS version 0.3.4.3. Improved Torq reliability. Experimental features tap, ZRAM, and manual reset for Torq. Nice.
Huh.
StartOS is like sort of, like becoming very interesting. Bisq version 1.9.12. Clone existing offers while sharing its maker fee and security deposit and a bunch of other stuff.
That's helpful.
Peach version 0.2.11 and version 0.2.10. Seller on Peach can now change premium discounts and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, RBF support. And backup reminders. That's kind of important. Orange Peel app 1.4.4. Add zaps to the events. BitGo, that's something you don't see often. MuSig2. Interesting. That's kind of cool. It's nice they're supporting. They're like, 90% of the between them and Fireblocks is all the Bitcoin that is on custodials, right?
Yeah, and so now, all those customers, or hopefully a large number of those customers, will get, security of multi-sig, but on-chain it'll be a single signature, it'll be more private, it'll be cheaper, give everybody else who's using Taproot a larger anonymity set.
That's huge.
Good.
That's seriously huge.
Great update.
Also very, very surprising because it's like Bitcoin only. It's not shitcoin friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we're going to be able to track the exchange balances as easily in future if this gets significant adoption.
Well, honestly, I think it's a bad thing that we can track exchange balances because we really can't. It's all like bullshit heuristics.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk about how the exchange balances are going down, and I'm looking at those graphs and I'm wondering to myself, how much can we trust that information?
Did you trust that they have any? Hey, listen, those apartments in the Caymans won't buy themselves.
Well, hopefully they're all using Sparrow, and now they can make BIP322 signatures to show what they actually have.
Absolutely.
Right. There you go. All right, Project Spotlight. Wallby, all-in-one wallet app for Bitcoin and all its main side chains on layer 2 technologies. That's a big claim. Kind of cool. If true.
Yeah, it sounds super ambitious to support all of that. I don't know if they've got a big team behind them, but I wish them luck. That's quite a goal.
Yeah, it looks like they support main chain, Liquid, and Rootstock today, and then they've said Lightning and RGB are coming soon.
I mean, there is a market for the shit, right? Like
Totally.
to supporting all of them in a single one, kind of like the Bitcoin shitcoin wallet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should rename to. It is cool though. I mean, like props to people that have this kind of goals. Like it's needed.
Are they open source?
Coming soon.
Yeah. PDK, PageJoin Development Kit, a full and completely standalone PageJoin implementation with supporting modules enable greater flexibility. That's cool. PageJoin is cool. Needs more adoption. I'm also skeptical that it will sort of become huge too. I don't know how I feel about PageJoin. I like the idea. I'm not sure it's practical sort of mainstream adaptability.
Yeah, the thing that will be really interesting to see how it plays out is it requires interactivity between the payer and the receiver, which people aren't really used to for layer 1 Bitcoin, right? Because like you're basically doing like a 2-in, 2-out coin join with your recipient. And so like you guys both have to sign a transaction. And so there's going to be a bunch of networking and a bunch of sort of negotiating of that transaction. Like there's got to be a whole protocol for that. And it'll be interesting to see how that ends up showing up in applications. Is it going to be kind of a lightning experience where on your mobile app you say, hey, here's an invoice, and somebody sends to you and you like wait for it? Does it get mostly picked up by merchants and people who are always online anyway? Does it get rolled into other systems? Like, it's going to be really interesting to see who picks it up and what those implementations actually look like.
Yeah, I mean, from the Sparrow side, it's very much the BIP21 kind of thing where you're kind of expecting a merchant to be on the other side running a server, and that's kind of the way that it works. My biggest issue with it is that there's no incentive for the merchant to run a hot wallet. Why would they run a hot wallet when they can just use their cold card, which is so much better for them? So that's, I think, for me, the big hurdle. And I'm sure it can be overcome, but I'm not sure how yet.
All right. Well, listen, more privacy options, more experimentation. It's kind of like a win-win, right? Bitpac, publicly auditable cooperatives that live on Bitcoin. Any idea?
Okay, so this is like a socially acceptable DAO.
Bitcoin DAOs. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, is it maxi acceptable DAO?
I guess that remains to be seen. There's not much on their website.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty early, right? It's very like MVP right now. But how this works is if you basically end up creating a multi-sig and it uses Nostr behind the scenes to like pass around PSBTs and to do all of like the messaging between participants. And I think all of the, if I remember right, all of the like voting and all of the like proposals and like kind of all of the governance like workflows are all Nostr messages. So they're like publicly visible, at least to the people who subscribe to your relays. So
Very
it's
cool.
It really is like a Bitcoin centric DAO.
Huh. I mean, eventually you see everything, right? BIP39 Colors translates a BIP39 mnemonic into colors and vice versa. This is kind of cool. I like this kind of stuff. We almost did a code card with a RGB sensor so that instead of NFC, you just place it on top of the phone and it just shine RGB because you get a lot more bandwidth than you do on standard QRs and other easy things.
Well, like most screens are not color calibrated. Like I own a bunch of calibrators for like calibrating my screen colors and temperature and shit. If you have colors that you like really have to get right because it's like protecting your money.
Yeah, no, there is a essentially like a safe threshold that you use that essentially like anything within whatever amount of green of this green is green kind of thing. You do lose some bandwidth, but like it's like good enough.
Or I wonder if you could do almost like a Reed-Solomon type thing or some kind of like erasure coding across like an RGB spectrum so that you have some like error correction built in so that if you're
that's pretty much what that is.
Or something. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there used to be a few devices like that way back in the day that tried to do some of that stuff because this is pre-QR, pre-good cameras, right? Yeah. And people didn't want to do infrared because infrared was how you did a lot of those things. Remember your Palm Pilot? You point the infrared to the infrared emitter on the computer and that's how you sync it. So anyways.
So Craig, you just did all this work on QRs. Like when are we getting infrared seed support in Sparrow?
Yeah, man, it's coming soon. What is really kind of cool? I mean, it's simple, but it's cool. Is that these BIP39 colors they just sort of RGB values, but you can put them together in any order because it just takes the hue and then sorts them according to hue, and then off you go. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
It was a nice little feature ad that was added there because otherwise you wouldn't remember, right? You'd have all these colors around and you wouldn't have a clue how to put them back together. But cool. No worries.
Well, so the next thing is you have to do like seed QR. You need to do, or I'm sorry, instead of seed XOR, you have to do like color XOR. You could like blend your colors together.
Jesus Christ! And money gone.
Money is
and money gone. Listen, kids, keep shit simple when it comes to your seeds because
imagine
money
the
gone.
failure mode. I lost all my money because this card was left in the sun and all the colors faded, and now my money is gone. Like, absolutely insane.
Yep.
But it's okay.
All right. Lightning and L2 software releases and project updates. Phoenix third generation beta. So this was the one that they announced splicing. This is super uber cool. The fees are super low now to do Lightning. It's kind of like unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think they like combined. So I think they combined splicing with a construction that's kind of like there's this thing that Z-Man and Jesse Posner came up with called swap in potentium, where the idea is like normally if you want to fund a Bitcoin or a Lightning wallet, you have to receive on-chain Bitcoin and then like open a channel with it. And how swap in potentium works is you receive on-chain Bitcoin, but instead of it going to a normal address, it goes to like a 2 of 2 multisig that's between you and the LSP that has like a 6-month, it'll degrade down to just being yours. So you have a refund path if your LSP goes away. And the idea is that the LSP can look and see that you've like received money on to this script that they have one of the sides of, so they know that you're not going to double spend them, and they can open a zero conf channel to you immediately. So you can like get on-chain Bitcoin and immediately get a channel open to you that uses that on-chain Bitcoin to like fund the channel, and you can immediately start using it because like they're not going to double spend themselves. And so I think Phoenix is using that construction plus splicing to give you like fast funding, and you don't have a million channels. Like I have a Phoenix wallet that I think has 13 channels on it, and the next one I have will have 1. And anytime I need to send or receive, it's just going to splice UTXOs in and out of this channel, which is incredible.
Very cool.
That was a lot of Lightning shit that I don't fully understand, but sounds really awesome.
I'm glad they're doing it. It's great. It's permissionless innovation. Fucking love it.
Yeah, it's those guys really are putting a lot of effort into this stuff. If people want to understand a bit about splicing and all that good stuff, we did an episode with a few Lightning implementation developers. I can't remember the Lightning episode number, but it was good. Mutiny Wallet beta now available to everyone. Partner with Voltage Cloud to be the main liquidity provider, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. And there's also Mutiny Plus if you want to support them. It's kind of fun. I love what these guys are doing.
What's the Mutiny Plus thing?
It's just like right now, essentially, is a promise they're going to have a bunch of extra features just for you, but they're essentially like trying to not be evil. So people like sort of help support them so they don't have to sell you shit. They're going to have a bunch of extra services, right? Like eventually, like better liquidity or whatever, like they can sort of monetize, right?
Yeah, right now you only get smug satisfaction, but they're promising a lot more.
That's right. You can take a screenshot and tweet about it. That's what you get so far.
So they're saying Mutiny Plus is going to come with something called Redshift, which I don't understand.
Redshift is I think it's a coin swap service that they're working on.
Oh, that's cool. Gifting, multi-device access, and more to come, they say.
Yep. So there was a little bit of controversy around Mutiny this week or last week, Twitter. Mm-hmm. And some people were losing their panties because this is a web browser wallet, right? And I think people are sort of like losing a little bit of perspective in this whole thing. We just had Apple say no to Zaps, for example.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what people are missing here is this. Nobody is saying go and put your life savings on a PWA, right? Progressive web app, which is essentially what Mutiny is right now. Mm-hmm. So get over your shit. 2 is, yes, web browsers are not great at security and shit. Of course, we all agree. So yes, don't put your life savings on it. Another thing is, we do need alternatives to apps, right? Because side loading is not an alternative for everybody. And we do have 8 billion people in the world that need to use Lightning and Bitcoin. So PWAs are a improvement over standard browser use. Yes, many concerns, many issues. Yes, the privacy is a concern, but you could address that with VPN or whatever, but that's not the point. The people using this wouldn't use VPN on their app anyway, so they're fucked. And I guess like the only last thing I'd like to add to this is that this is their MVP proof of concept, right? These guys do intend to eventually have native apps in different platforms and things. But, when you have a team of 3 people doing hard work, they can't just build for every platform to start. So just keep that in mind next time you want to be losing your shit on Twitter.
So do you think that it is the responsibility of the app developers to warn their users that they are using a less safe environment, shall we say?
Yes and no. I mean, like, it's one of those things that, like, any person who doesn't understand they're using a browser is never going to make it anyways. Like, we can't really save them with a warning. They're going to just close the warning and not read. Nobody reads anything. Fuck, I press all the red buttons. So, like, I mean, I think it would be like a nice ethical thing to just maybe show a little warning, but like I don't really think there's much gain, and there's definitely no point in doing that when the app is still beta and used by a bunch of nerds who can complain on Twitter about it. Does that sort of suffice your concern? Or
if I was writing this app, I might put up a little header at the top that just says like, hey, here's a link to some other document that's describing all the reasons why this is a bad idea. Just to
like, I don't know if it's on the list, but like 10.10.1, which is like another Lightning wallet that's really focused on DLCs. When you go to fund it, they put a whole lot of warnings that say like, hey, we're in alpha. You need to deposit at least this much money to make the app work, but we don't recommend you go over like this amount. Now that gets a little bit hard to like message and like talk about with nuance, like especially as you get closer to production. But like there is, I'd say like an open design question about how do wallets that make different trade-offs like communicate those trade-offs in ways that their users can actually understand. Because you don't want to overdo it and scare away people for whom your app would like actually be a good fit, but you also don't want to be like misleading and cause a bunch of people to get rugged when they didn't need to be. Like Mutiny Wallet is a web browser Lightning node that you run on your phone. The number of people who are running that right now anyway is vanishingly small.
Right.
And like I don't think that there's any like off the street normies who are like accidentally running Mutiny Wallet on their phone right now. So I feel like the blast radius for this is probably pretty small.
So I just cracked open Mutiny and they do have a big pop-up that says, hey, warning beta software, please be careful. Don't put more money into it than you're willing to lose.
Okay.
Perfect.
So good for them.
I just think the risk is actually not really, it's actually to the project itself ultimately. I mean, it's to its users, I guess, ultimately. But if you have a wallet which is subject to, some serious, issue, like Electrum was several years ago, and people still talk about it all the time. It's just one of those things. You just you have to see what's coming down the road, and often the architectural decisions you make at the start have these ramifications for the project that only get realized years afterwards. So, I think if you put up this warning and said, hey, we're aware of this, it helps to really, I think, put you in good standing when things maybe happen as a result of that further down the road. And I certainly hope they don't.
So here's an interesting thing. A little bit of the background of the drama is that Fluffy posted on the Monero. Fluffy Pony is the Monero guy. He's a friend. And he posted on the Monero subreddit or the Bitcoin, I can't remember where. He posted somewhere talking about some of the issues with the stuff. And like, he generally sort of like was trying to be like, like a traditional genuine warning of a nerd to other nerds of like, there's some problems here because this is a web app, right? The problem is, as I discussed with him, is that like you have all this fucking Monero socks that like anything that tries to do privacy and eat Monero's lunch is going to be a threat to them. And they attacked this in a way that was uncalled for and created extra drama. And as usual, drama snowballs. And this is a company of 3 guys who are all essentially devs, who don't have comms people, who are just trying to do their best and not be evil. And it's all open source. And they don't have VC money from asshole VCs. It's just, I don't know. I felt entitled to come out of my way to defend them just because it was uncalled for criticism for a beta software. Anybody who spends a bit more time sort of reading into this will see the backstory is there. Nobody's trying to hide anything. It's just, I don't know. It's a different thing. It's not God forbid somebody goes read some of the source code of some of the native apps on the store and see what people do with JavaScript and serializing and unserializing private keys.
Assuming that's even what's installed on your phone.
I mean, there is that too. I feel like also Mutiny is sort of on track to cause even more drama on the privacy solution spectrum. That's going to take some business away from some of the privacy solutions, and that's going to cause even more drama. So be prepared. The drama is about to get more mutinous. All right, Mutiny Node version 0.4.1 encrypted state backups for Lightning data, which allows for restoring Lightning data with just your seed words. That's really cool. Configurable to your own URL if you want. Should be compatible with VSS compatible software made by Sparrow. Torq version 1.0.1. I'm not going to get into the details. Very cool tool if you're managing a quadrillion Lightning nodes as enterprise. Very pretty software. Paid version for large nodes. I love to see that.
Yeah, the 2 things in here that I thought were really cool, they seem to be leaning pretty hard into building out support for writing your own automated workflows for things. And when you combine that with another feature in this release, which is they added support for buying channels using the new LSP spec. So there's a bunch of companies that all have LSPs or are building LSPs, and they've been working on a common spec for the control plane API for an LSP, so that if you're building a wallet, then you can hook up to one or multiple LSPs and do things like buy inbound liquidity. So if you can use this interoperable interface to buy inbound liquidity from LSPs, and you have that on your enterprise node management system that has automated workflow support, then you can start building things like, hey, I'm going to monitor my payment success rate, and if it drops below some threshold, then I'm just going to automatically go and buy more inbound liquidity, or I'm going to manage my inbound liquidity automatically. And you can start building all that in a fully automated way without having to write a bunch of custom software.
Cool. lnbits version 0.10.9 Yvette++ by my favorite commie, Ben Ark. New security panel with 6 components. Security notifications, kill switch, watchdog. I mean, lnbits is started to become quite the big sort of piece of software that's very useful to companies so that they can manage their nodes and then sell shit for Bitcoin. Very cool. Stalker News version 1.2.0. Login with email, magic link, zap posts, whip notifications, whip settings page. Well, this is one of those projects that gets completely replaced by Nostr. As far as I understand, they are working on a Nostr sort of implementation of Stalker News. Cashu. Well, this is L3, Johnny, not L2. Cashu version 0.12.3. New token lock time type, pay to pub key. Nut updates. Nut09 wallet can now show mint information, and mint responds with token proofs pending state.
So is Cashu still just run on one guy's infrastructure?
No, so that's not exactly. You can run your own. You can run your own mint. It's just that
it runs on one guy's infrastructure, but it can be any one guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Right?
So you can run your own.
I mean, it's like Liquid, right?
it's single sig. No, it's not even federated. Cashu is easy rug pull. But the point of it is to be that way.
Oh, I just mean that, like, in theory, anybody could set up their own federation.
Yes, that's correct. No, there's no federation in Cashu.
Yeah, so Fedimint is a federated Chaumian mint. Cashu is single custodian Chaumian mint.
That's right.
Right. I guess what I'm asking is, like, when you download, whatever mobile app he's got for this, does it essentially just default connect to the big Cashu mint that he's running?
So it's actually cool. So there's actually a bunch of clients. The CLI one by default connects to localhost. Like it, he wants you to run your own, but he tells you in the README, like, if you want to connect to mine, here's the URL for it. What's cool is that now a Cashu token, like if I send you, it's a big like base64 encoded thing. But if I send you a Cashu token, it actually encodes who the mint is in that token. And then most of the Cashu wallets support having multiple mints registered as backends and actually support doing swaps between them. So say that you're using Callie's mint and I'm using Johnny's mint, and I send you some tokens from Johnny's mint. The first time you receive them, they'll say, you're not connected to this mint. Do you want to trust this mint? And it shows you like the URL and you say yes. And now you have, 500 sats on Johnny's mint. And then if you want to move it to your mint, then you can like hit a button and it will sell your Johnny token, do a Lightning transaction over to like the Callie mint and issue you some eCash. So, the experience that they're trying to create is that like you can choose your own mint, but you can still send or receive payments to like other people because they all interop over Lightning. But strictly speaking, it's single custodian, single rug pull.
Cool.
So like think about motive for a second. Like the goal of this project is not for them to be anything. So Callie is the CTO of lnbits.
Yeah.
And the reason why they were running on a single infrastructure that is because they just forked lnbits to support Cashu. That's how the whole thing sort of like started to be deployed. And they make it obvious and easy for the 10 nerds who are using this project that they can run their own mints and point to their own servers. It's Kallie's explanation of this was like the goal is for small entities, say for example a small school, to issue their own token, right, within themselves. And if the school rug pull, there's still a punchable distance in terms of network scale. It's not trying to pretend to be some crazy federated thing. It's not trying to pretend to be decentralized. None of this. They don't. It's very sort of honest about it. Very cool project. But it is L3. Let's not get the L's confused.
It's at least L3. It might even be L4.
That's right. We have to do a SWOT analysis to figure that out.
That's right.
All right. So Zeus LN node update. Zeus no longer requires you to run a separate Lightning node. This is huge. So Zeus was how everybody who has their own Lightning nodes, which is 10 people, to control their Lightning nodes and spend from them, from their phones. Now you can have a Zeus running its own node, which is kind of cool. Embedded node on your phone, no channel management necessary, self-custody as expected. Users will be prompted at first to start if they want to do it. This is super cool. Evan is killing it with this project.
I'm actually trying to figure out how he's doing it. It seems he's using LSPs in the background. Does anyone know anything more?
I imagine it's probably Breez's LSP SDK thingy. I'm like completely pulling that out of my ass.
Yeah, it seems like the things that people are doing now, there's like, you can use the Breez LSP, or a couple of projects are using Greenlight. And then the thing that like Mutiny and some other folks are doing is they're running LDK for the node. And then Voltage has an LSP that a few projects are using. So yeah, I don't know what Zeus is doing specifically, but it's probably one of those.
Well, there's also the Breez one, right? That does the liquidity providing as part of the API. Sorry, as part of the SDK. sphinx-key version 0.2.0, a Lightning hardware wallet based on VLS. That's cool.
That is cool. VLS is amazing. It's super cool.
Yeah, VLS is interesting. I'm still uncertain on how to best do this for real. Like if it's like a secure enclave, if we have to actually get some of the stuff baked into the silicon, it's unclear to make this actually secure.
Oh, you're gonna love. Yeah. This project seems right up your alley. It's a ESP32 running some software using VLS.
Yeah. So ESP32 is not secure, folks. It is not secure, folks. You can run arbitrary shit on RAM without being signed or anything. Like it's really cool. I love that people are experimenting with it, and the critics get confused with me shitting on ESP32 versus yes, go have fun with it. Just don't make products on it. Or if you're gonna make products, make clocks or make whatever. Mm-hmm. Right. Breez SDK Core version 0.1.2. Performance optimizations, reduced TLS handshake, and green light by using one gRPC connection, simpler API, and a bunch of other things.
The other big thing in the Breez SDK releases, they added more languages for language binding. So there's now support for like Golang and Python, which is super cool.
Nice.
Really handy.
I mean, Golang and C#. VLS beta release. VLS is an open source Rust library and reference implementation of software that separates users' private keys from the Lightning node. So VLS is essentially kind of like HSM software for Lightning. It just needs a home. That's how I look at it.
Yep.
It's a very cool project. Very, very cool project.
Oh, I think I just realized why Breez SDK added C# bindings. BTC Pay Server is C#.
There you go. LN Markets update. Higher trading limits, 1 BTC margin, and a bunch of other things. Pocket integrating Lightning. I don't know what Pocket is. Oak Node version 0.3.7. LND node management. BitBanana. This sounds like something that Pablo made. BitBanana is a native Android app node operator focused on user experience and ease of use.
It is actually the old Zap, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. 21. Kidding. 10.10.1. Version 1.0.21. Configurable Oracle endpoint and public key. Removed stopgap receiving payment from open position. Reduce minimum amount of 50K sats on receiving payments. 8333.mobi. Clans future announcement. Clans give you the ability to send and receive Bitcoin as a group. CivKit. Sounds like a disease. Roadmap release. What was CivKit again? It was something cool.
It's like Bisq, right? It's like a decentralized order book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Ray, the guy from
Yes.
Paxful. It's his new project.
In Antoine Riard.
It's a replacement for Paxful on Nostr. Yes.
Yeah, it's the replacement for Paxful.
They need a new name. Bolt.observer, sub-60s notifications. Alby, integrated DFX and exchange service to buy and sell Bitcoin via simple bank transactions. Oh, this is interesting. Project Spotlight for Lightning. Orb, a cross-platform Mac, Windows, OS X, iOS, blah, blah, blah. It features bulk payments and an editor, API, app store, node automation. What is Orb?
No idea.
The Lightning Network just got way more fun. Okay.
Orb makes Lightning fun.
All right.
It looks like a visualization tool for your channels, amongst other things.
Looks like it.
Nice. It's another node management thing. P38, use Lightning Network to send satellite messages with Blockstream. Oh, that's fun. On the satellite thing, it's going to get weird, eh? Side note here, Starlink is killing all the satellite services out there, right? XM Radio, Cirrus, ExplorerNet, and there's going to be a lot of satellites with no use up there. So maybe we have more Bitcoin shit being pushed through. LNDg, Light GUI web interface, analyze LND data and manage your node. MiniBits. MiniBits is an eCash wallet with a focus on performance and usability. Okay. Oh, that's Cashu. Lightning Prisms, PHP, a PHP library that allows you to easily split Lightning payments to multiple Lightning addresses.
Rijndael shaking his head.
Yeah, PHP is a Bitcoin, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them. I'm glad that they wrote it, but PHP is a shitcoin.
It's really pretty bad.
The way I look at it is anything that's LAMP on that acronym is a shitcoin.
Wow. Whew.
Spicy.
It's like that was the lowest time preference of web technologies of all time. I mean, listen to my haters who will, of course, send me a hate boostagram. Please increase the amount of zeros if you're going to hate me on a boostagram because I shit on Linux and PHP and things like that. Listen, we love all our Linux listeners. We just have strong opinions. Git Lurker, sent in by Minima, who was inspired to build this project from listening to Bitcoin Review. Wow, that's amazing. Somebody listens to Bitcoin.review.
This is pretty cool. This is just like a sorted list of updates to Bitcoin projects.
Nice. I think this needs to be a different category, but that's really cool. Love it. It might make our life easier, Johnny's life easier. All right, some basic Nostr updates because we have a Nostr list review now, its own episode, because the list just became impossible to have in the same day. So Amethyst released version 0.62.4, Cashu token support. There you go, it's growing. Primal.net, they made their entire platform, everything that they do, MIT. That's really cool. And the VCs supported it. So props to 1031 for not blocking it. Privacy software. Oh yeah, this is a new. It's a new section now of one item. Simplex Chat, another venereal disease name. Guys, we need better names for apps. Version 5.2.0-beta.2. By the way, Simplex Chat is awesome. This is the non-CIA version of Signal.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to dox your phone and create a social graph for the spooks. You can run your own server. They have good handshake ways of doing DNS, like very, very high quality stuff. I'm impressed. And it works. So they have a bunch of updates. I just wanted to bring it up. You guys using Simplex yet?
No, I haven't tried it yet.
I just downloaded it based on your recommendation the other day in the ham radio Telegram.
I know, right?
So I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, do it. Like we should definitely move TG groups to this thing. It's a lot better. It's actually quite featureful. Like it's not one of those apps that feel like it's not quite there yet. Yeah, it's very usable. Only problem is the only desktop client is still CLI only, so most people can't use it.
I mean that's fine.
But on iPhone and Android is great, and the protocol is fully open source. The app is fully open source. So soon enough, we should be able to start seeing new clients.
I mean, really, like, who are you chatting with that can't figure out a CLI chat client? Like, who are these people?
I know it's hard to believe, but my butcher is still only on Signal. He does not do Simplex yet. Yeah, I really feel like Simplex might be the protocol that we can use to do Nostr DMs. Like, there is some cross compatibility there. But anyways, I'm curious to see how this goes. I am starting to use it as much as I can now. Project Spotlight. Zappo Pay. That was fun. Nice little pound apple there by Ben Carmen. Maker and developer at Mutiny. So they're really screwing with Apple there with Nostr Wallet Connect. Zap.stream. Nostr native streaming with sats. All right, guys, I think we got to we're like deep here. We managed to get through the software updates. We haven't got yet to like the other 30% of the list, but I'm impressed.
Only took 90 minutes.
I didn't think we were going to get through it.
Yeah, that's impressive. We've done worse before, and the two listeners who get to this point are much appreciated. Okay, so people are really going to make me do the emojis, Boostograms, which are my favorite. All right, come rocket. Snooze, deaf. That is what we try to do here, sir. Clap, tongue squint. Bullseye. Great episode. Shaka. Michael Matulev. Bitcoin needs to change for its ethos to scale. No. Excellent conversation, hands down. Some of the highest signal out there. Thank you. Graham TX. I learned a lot from the show. Eighth Mifredir. You are close to forcing Apple to allow side loading of apps. That could be interesting. Also, Bisq version 1.9.11 added cloning offers and a few other things. When soft fork? Fake. Bitcoin is boring and nothing happens. That is true, and that's what we've been doing for the last hour and a half. Owen found this podcast while trying to find information about clock making. Enjoy, regards. Dash, a massive rant about the Mark III. I responded to you, sir.
This is incredible. There's people are submitting bug reports via Boosts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what Dash is missing is that those guys were not able to build even pre-bug release. They couldn't do the builds. So, yes, sir. It's not our fault. Bitcoin Optech newsletter. We're not going to go through it because now they have a good podcast, but we list anyways. Is there any item here on the list that you guys feel compelled to mention from the Optech? And I'm going to count to 3, and you may rest forever. May stay silent forever on the Optech. So 1, 2, 3. We're moving on from Bitcoin Optech. Listen to their pod is awesome. When we started this, they didn't have a pod. News and noteworthy on Bitcoin. Block MDK. Block wants to be the new white Death Star of Bitcoin, and they're also building mining gear, and is looking very interesting, actually. And they're making all open source, so that's very cool. F2Pool launches Bitcoin Transaction Accelerator.
Which you can only pay for with USDT.
That's funny.
Insane.
What a way of creating some Tether demand, huh? So Chris Belcher, who was working on CoinSwap, has released a GitHub update post with some very unfortunate health condition deterioration and explaining why he hasn't been active. I don't know anybody who validated with him yet in person or out of channel, but assuming this is true, that sucks. And speedy recovery, sir. Lightning, someone attempting to exploit potential vulnerability in Lightning backends. Bolt 11 payments hash has not commit to payment. Ben Carmen. Guys, feel free to jump in, on anything here. I'm just as the pod goes on, I start to accelerate further.
I'm just such a Lightning Neanderthal. I don't know anything about Lightning.
We call ourselves on-chain boomers, sir. That's the correct term. Lightning Labs AI for all. New developer tools for Lightning and AI developers.
Yeah, Lightning Labs had a project a while ago. I think it was like 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that, called Aperture. And it's like a little reverse proxy that sits in front of like an API. So you have some software that you want to do like per request metering of. And the idea is that somebody, some client hits your front end and you return an HTTP 402, which is like payment required, along with a Lightning invoice. And then they pay that invoice and you vend them like an API key, and they can use that to make 10 API calls or something. And so it looks like they've expanded that and then built some additional tooling to integrate it with some of like the AI tooling that's been coming out, so that if you have AI services that you're building, then they can do like pay per API call with Lightning.
So you guys tell me, is the reason that this is at all related to AI because these, like, to get one of these large language models that's actually good, you have to go out on the internet and like scrape basically everything. And so now that everybody's realized this, places like Twitter and basically anywhere there's content has like locked down their programmatic access. And so the idea here is that if you could actually respond to these 402 status codes, that like you could enable automated scraping where people are actually paying Bitcoin to train their models, or is it something else?
That's it. And like, if it was, like the traditional way to do this, right, is, Twitter would have an API and you would get an API key from Twitter and you would log into your account and put in a credit card and they would have their own metering and billing system. And then you'd go to, I don't know, Tumblr, if that's even still a thing. And like, you'd have an API key with them and like, you'd have your own payment information. They've had their own metering system, like yada, yada, yada. And ideally what you'd like to be able to do is have a standardized way of doing like per request payment. And obviously people who own Bitcoin would like you to pay Bitcoin for that. But where I think this might end up falling down is if you still end up having to use site-specific APIs, or if everybody's just doing this shit on top of like beautiful soup in Python and they're like parsing HTML with regex or something, then you're still going to have like per site integrations that you do. So maybe it doesn't get that far, but that's kind of the dream. The dream is all of this data that nobody really cared to bulk scrape unless you were doing sentiment analysis or other kind of like marketing systems. Like nobody was going to screen scrape your entire website other than like search engines. And now there's a lot of incentive for people to go out and just gobble up everything. I think that's part of it. And then I think the other thing, I think Lightning Labs talked about this a little bit. I could be wrong. I might have misread the blog post, is some new systems, like I think GPT-4, can actually do web requests as part of answering a query. So like you can ask ChatGPT, like, hey, go look this up for me. And ChatGPT will go and like make an HTTP request. And you would like that system to be able to pay for API access if it's accessing a monetized resource.
Got it.
Check 402.lol.
Let's see here. Oh, did you just register that?
No, I had it. And the other one is broken. Hang on a second, guys. It's 402.vc. I need to fix it. It's not working right now.
Oh, yeah, it's broken.
Boo.
Boo.
While we're looking at NBK domains, have you seen ord.lol? Ord.lol. It's the best one.
Invent a word?
No. ORD, Oscar Romeo Delta.lol.
Is that your redirect, Rijndael?
It's NVK's.
Oh, it's NVK's.
I just fixed HTTP no S 402.vc. It's fixed. It's a real enterprise.
Ooh, nice.
All right. Simple Bitcoin wallet to remove Lightning and become on-chain wallet. Lightning network will be completely removed. Oh, yeah. So this people pussies. Okay, moving on. I mean, seriously, who says shit like that, like this day and age? I mean, like, Lightning is just about to, like, have most of its problems fixed. A lot of it has been fixed the last year, right?
Binance just turned on Lightning, right? Like, that's going to...
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm the resident Lightning, like, is not ready yet boomer, right? Like, and I am, like, bullish on Lightning. Jesus, guys.
But I mean, I think that I hear echoes of Mike Hearn here.
Oh, yeah, that could be. Yeah. Just pent up frustration.
Yeah, I think I just hear Mike in the background, you know, going on about how it's failed experiment. And no, I mean, it is quite a thing, I think, for any wallet to take on Lightning. And I think it's reasonable to say, you know what, we just can't maintain this anymore. But I don't know about the second line. That seems to be maybe a statement that is not going to age well.
Well, that's why I disregard it, right? Like anybody who says I shouldn't be writing wallet software, I'm like, yes, sir, you're correct. Most people should not be writing wallet software, especially Lightning wallet software, right? But then to shit on the tech just because you're not capable, I mean, come on, right? Not cool. The rage quitting is always...
Well, to defend this guy, I mean, I think user experiences like Phoenix are fantastic and are coming a long way to fix some of the usability issues. But, my mom should not have to manage directional liquidity. And so, I think the UX has to continue.
Your mother doesn't exist. We've already went through this. We've already talked about the ephemeral grandmother kind of thing. They don't exist.
But if we want Bitcoin to be the payments network for the world, or at least sit beneath the payments network for the world, I mean, everybody's got to use this.
Yeah, but people are going to be on I have absolutely no clue what's going on under the hood kind of solutions, right? It's going to be like the cash
Right,
app.
so I'm saying if those can emerge on top of Lightning, then that's great. But like the Lightning wallets of a few years ago, yeah, I agree. I mean, they were it was very finicky.
It was horrible. It still annoys me when I see the fees that get taken when I send Lightning out or receive Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like near credit card fees, but it's going to be fixed. For example, the splicing thing helps a lot of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's time.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of work happening for offline receive, right? Because that's another big pain point with mobile Lightning. Yep. Your phone needs to be online in order to reveal that hash pre-image and complete the payment. And modern mobile OSs don't give backgrounded processes a ton of CPU time or a ton of network IO. And so there's a whole bunch of work that's going on to build, a protocol between an LSP and your phone so that your, the LSP can hold the payment for you. And then your phone messages the LSP and says, hey, I'm online now. And then you complete the last leg of the payment. There's a bunch of stuff like that just has to get built. And it's just, engineering and Lightning is still super, super early. It's really not ready for normies yet.
Yep. All right. On the community side, I wanted to give props to the Bitcoin Park because they're celebrating their first year.
Wow.
They've had a absolute fuck ton of events. It became the biggest sort of permanent Bitcoin place that I know of. Sort of the biggest one that has the most amount of stuff going on. I went there for the mining summit and for a couple other things, and spectacular. They've had quite a few things going on. We have a link to their announcement. You guys been there?
Not yet.
I have. It's great. I was there for the Mempool Summit earlier in the year. Had a great time. It's an amazing place. If you are a Bitcoiner and you are thinking about going, you should make a plan to go.
They have the correct energy. It's an open carry space.
I've heard it's also dog friendly.
Yes, it's dog
right?
friendly. It's open carry friendly. They do have tacos for breakfast often there. There is great coffee.
What else do you need?
There's booze. Yeah. The building is really nice. And it's kind of like couple houses together kind of thing. So it's very open and you can sit outside and relax and talk to people. It's just really nice. So Harry, Rod, and Odell are running the joint now together.
Great guys.
Yeah. All right. Business and finance. We're not very interested, but let's mention a few things. So MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin. They're going to own all the Bitcoin if you guys keep on selling it to them.
Yeah. Who stops selling your Bitcoin to Sailor? Jesus.
We're going to start. Come on, Jack. Step up. Get Block to start collecting some too, because otherwise it's going to be only one public traded company.
Yeah.
If you want to see their history, check out the BitcoinTreasuries.net. We have very detailed entries of all their purchases.
So what's going to happen to MicroStrategy's stock price if the BlackRock ETF comes through?
Oh man, it's going to moon over, right? Because think about it as as a multiplier. More on the upside than on the downside.
But how many people are buying MicroStrategy as a proxy for an ETF.
A lot.
Who are going to then sell and just buy the ETF.
No, it's a different play. Yeah, it's a different thing. Like, remember, like there is no fees, right? To hold that stock, unlike an ETF does. And BlackRock owns 10%, I think, of MicroStrategy too, just in case. So, I mean, it's not impossible. They try a takeover of MicroStrategy to get the coins.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the legacy market, who cares? Brazilian Bitcoin startup Pipa raises 1.5 million. No, it's a big round in Brazil. Binance integrated Lightning. That's a biggie.
It's a really big.
I don't know. It's just really cool. I think it really validates Lightning. And I think they really probably felt the pain of trying to do withdrawals in the high fee environment that we just had. Government and political. Slovakia is making Bitcoin a lot more tax effective. North Carolina likes Bitcoin too. Crack an order to turn over user information to the IRS. I'm sure they'll try to fight a bit. Belarus looks to ban peer-to-peer crypto transactions. Have fun staying more poor, Belarus. Jesus Christ. Like some of these places, they just love to lose, right? And then RFK is the new darling of the Bitcoiners who like government.
So he says.
Yeah, that's right. Believe a politician, right? They always keep their promises. Wallby accidentally exposed a set of credentials that enable access to crypto exchanges cloud storage, putting users' data at risk. Oof. Ouch.
That's tough.
But it's always like that, right? Companies don't get hacked. The devs get hacked and they use their credentials.
Well, yeah, it's classic. It was creds that had write permission on S3 buckets, which is like a tale as old as time.
Yep.
It's the song of my people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF application takes surveillance to the next level. Ooh, are they going to require dick pics? You need the dick pic to buy your coins, to buy your IOUs. Great. I'm not even going to bother reading it. All right, so a bunch of articles, guys, we've listed. I think we're approaching 2 hours here. I think we can sort of any articles here you guys feel like people should definitely read, because the people who really care about the show go read the show notes and you'll see all the articles that Johnny listed.
Yeah, I mean, I think two that might be, or a couple that might be timely, especially with all of the soft fork hullabaloo happening on Twitter right now. A lot of people point at simplicity as like, let's just wait for simplicity. And there's actually two links here about simplicity. I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand what that project is and what it's trying to accomplish and like what it is and isn't. So
it's not simple, even though the name is simplicity.
It's not simple, and it doesn't do everything, and it's not the end of all soft forks, right? So reading up on that might be helpful.
But hang on a second, but simplicity require elements, right?
Well, it's in elements. It doesn't require.
Right. So that's an 80,000 diff, right? It's never going to get merged.
Yeah, like we looked at the current change set at a recent bit devs, and the diff was huge.
Yeah, it's massive. And I don't want to, poo-poo any work here.
Oh, it's very cool.
But I am like looking at the blog post, the simplicity holes and side effects, and like you just look at that second code snippet of a bit flip, and I don't know. I guess I need to sit down and read it, but I'm just like, man, this is some like I wonder with simplicity if it gets merged and activated, then doesn't the software process become like, what is a jet?
Yeah, it's which jets are standardized becomes the new soft fork fight.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like if it all boils down to if you can prove some equivalence between a jet procedure and the raw simplicity, then maybe you can say, oh, okay, well, it's just an implementation detail. But I think in practice, it's so complicated that. Yeah, I don't know. It's
well, but also like there are people who just like ideologically do not want to update the software on their nodes, either for practical reasons or like ideological reasons. Mm-hmm. And so saying like, hey, here's a reduction that shows that this jet is equivalent to this simplicity code, and here I ran the model checker and it shows that it's safe and bounded and like yada, yada, yada. Like that is not enough for a consensus change in like modern Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think people will buy that. So yeah, I mean,
good luck.
It's great that this research is ongoing, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
But, you know, like, I think that, like, you know, I'm of two minds on this, right? Because personally, there's a lot of shit I want, right? And there's a lot of, like, projects like this who I think are fantastic, especially intellectually. But the other side of me says, you know, like, I want grug brain changes to Bitcoin to only go through, because I don't want to screw the pooch on the best thing you have.
Yeah.
So it's hard, man. It's hard to have even a personal mental model of like, what should I like personally want to support and don't want to support too. So I find it like the minimum rule of thumb for me is like, is it a simple change, even just code wise? So like, there's not a lot of diffs, you know, like that's already like a very reasonable heuristic.
It's a pretty good proxy. Yeah.
You know, it's, yeah. I don't know. Let's see what happens with CTV and everything else.
Yeah, and then the other link that I saw in here that might be interesting, well, that I think is they're all interesting, but I think is extra interesting, is there's a blog post from LN Markets about basically using like adapter signatures and DLCs, and it gets really in depth with like the math on how adapter signatures work. So, you know, check that out if you're into DLCs.
Cool.
There's a series of articles by El Mouton, which I see have been linked here as well, where she's just kind of going through all of the basics of how HTLCs work and how they, you know, channels are set up, and it's really for those of us boomers, it's really helpful if you kind of want to get a feeling for what's going on. If you've kind of missed or feel like you've missed, you know, what happened, and now we're moving on to PTLCs and you're just getting left behind. Well, here's an article. So it's kind of talking about the way that things are done today, and I find it quite helpful to try and in some sense make me feel like I have some idea of what's going on, even though I probably don't.
It's yeah, I mean, we have already passed the point where like it's impossible for most people, even active people, to have a clue of everything that's going on in Bitcoin. All right, so audience questions here. There's a submission. Fediment on MutinyNet. Head over to GitHub and check out the Docker folder. There are some scripts, Docker files that get you up and running in Mutiny Signet. Technical skills probably needed. Please file bugs. Bring your questions and comments. That's from Fediment people, I assume?
Cool.
Yeah, so what's MutinyNet again? Is it just, it's like the Signet installation that Mutiny uses to test?
Yes. And they have a lot of features on it. It's very good. There's a lot of people on it.
It's the best shitcoin. So
Yes.
it's a Signet that Ben the Carmen is running, and it has 30-second blocks, which is amazing because normal Signet does like the Poisson distribution thing, and so you might be waiting an hour for a block. MutinyNet is 30-second blocks. They have a faucet that will just give you sats until you go away. And then, like, you know, there's a bunch of like Fediment stuff on there. There's a ton of Lightning nodes. So a lot of times if you like spin up your own Signet, you're missing all the other infrastructure. You have to make your own mempool.space installation. You got to like, all of that is there.
Nice.
So it's like a full featured test net with fast blocks.
Very cool.
Very cool.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, it's great. MutinyNet is super awesome. And like, if you go there, I think they also might have, like CTV and APO activated too. Like they're just turning on all the features, and we'll give you as many sats as you want.
And guys, any final thoughts? We got to that part of the show 5 minutes shy of 2 hours. If there is anybody who's still listening and not fully asleep because there's nothing happening in Bitcoin, they definitely want to hear your final thoughts.
I'm amazed that we got through it all the way. Like we spent half an hour talking about Sparrow, which was great. It's what I came for. But yeah, I'm amazed that we got through it.
I heard it's a good wallet.
Sparrow's awesome. I'm excited to check out Simplex, see what that's all about.
Yeah, same.
And I love Ben the Carmen. I want to shout him out. He's just such a Such a great part of Bitcoin.
If you like BIN, you like progressive web app wallets. They come as a package.
It's true. You can only get them together.
Yeah, and it comes with DLCs too. BIN does not come without DLCs.
All good things. The Ben Carmen starter pack. Somebody's got to make the JPEG right now.
That's right. Mr. Craig, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, having now been with you on a few of these journeys through the
You're a regular now, sir.
Yeah, it really is amazing how much work is going on. I mean, it's we just skip through so many of these notes, and if you just think about the number of developer hours that are being poured into all of these different projects that are just coming one after the other, so that you can't even remember which one does what, and you have to try and refresh just to have something useful to say. It really is quite an amazing thing. I mean, I think it just goes to show how many people out there are fascinated by Bitcoin and want to build on it, because this stuff is, for the most part, open source, and it's people doing this because they want to do it. It's very, very cool. It's
just nice to see that there is nothing happening in Bitcoin. And I literally have no other way of keeping track of all the stuff that's not happening in Bitcoin. Like, I need this show as the means of me keeping a tab of what's going on. It's a little excessive to do it every 2 weeks, but if we don't do it, then the list is much bigger on the third week.
Well, also, I was recently at a BitDevs where somebody said, hey, I've been following Bitcoin for a while. I'm a software developer working in like a completely unrelated space. I want to get involved. Like, what should I work on? And we just spent 2 hours talking about a whole bunch of projects, almost all of which are open source. And I'm pretty sure all of which, would welcome bug fixes, new contributions, like that kind of thing. So not only is there nothing happening in Bitcoin, but there's also nothing to work on in Bitcoin. So, if anything that you heard sounds interesting, like go check out the GitHub and see if they've got an issue list or, list of feature requests or something that you can bite a piece off of and start working on if you want to get involved in the space.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming. Craig, now a regular. Rijndael, definitely a regular. James is your second or third appearance now. You're becoming a regular.
Third appearance, yep.
There you go. It seems that people really like spending 3 hours talking about nothing is happening in Bitcoin. I'm very appreciative of you guys putting in the hours, literally the hours on this. And without panelists, this would not be possible because I would quit after about 15 minutes. So with that, thank you. And closing quote of the day is the computer can be used as a tool to liberate and protect people rather than to control them. Mr. Hall Finney. Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.